This was a technology class and use of technology class, and so as such, that's what my talk is going to be about. I think teachers need to use the technology they have access to in order to engage students in the process of learning. In ECOMP 355, we learned a lot about digital citizenship and having as much control as possible over your virtual identity. In order to do this, we use Twitter and Google Plus to supplement our blogging and use it to begin building our PLN or continue building our PLN. At the end of the class, looking back through my Twitter feed, I can see it as a great resource. I can see the value of it as that. However, I still find it uncomfortable. While seeing the value of Twitter and the larger network, 60 brains is obviously smarter than one, I still find and experience a lot of discomfort every time I post, tweet, or whatever it is I'm doing. For my learning project, I started with Smart Notebook, but ended up switching to Minecraft due to familial disagreement or previous promises. I'm actually glad I did in the end. I ended up learning a lot, and I actually really enjoyed the program. I'm going to attempt to show some of what I learned during the short videos, hopefully 2 clips, possibly only 1. We'll see how things go. Hopefully that works out. The sandbox nature of Minecraft actually gives teachers way more options than I had anticipated, and if students are already interested and engaged in it, then why not use it? The ability to model and build whatever they wish is a very strong tool. By adding in the redstone, think electricity, even older students can be engaged and use this. I know grade 6 in particular has a circuit unit in their science program, and so even being able to build, model, mess around with circuits in Minecraft allows a lot of freedom and possibilities. Alright, so we're going to have a look here. I wanted to show a couple of things real quick. One of the things I want to show is if you give your students an open-ended question like build a house with 61 blocks for the perimeter, once completed there's more instructions over there, they can start building. And they can count blocks as they go around their house. And they can set it up in whatever format they wish at that point. They can set it up to be whatever space they want and that kind of stuff. Then if they come around here, I'm just going to shut that rain off. And they come around here, they can see there's some more instructions. So it must have 2 stories, minimum 1 door and lighting. Main floor needs living area, bedroom, and crafting area. So that's when they're going to have to go inside, and they can set up the door however they wish. And this is just a really simple sample. So in here, there's a bit of a porch. There's a light switch there. Now, obviously, I haven't finished because there's no lighting in this area. And so I'm going to show how easy it is to quickly throw in something for lighting. And because it doesn't have to be that complicated, there you go, you set up light and a light switch. Now I said it had to have a crafting area. There's lights in here. So there's crafting, there's somebody's head, furnace and a crafting table, some chests that things can be stored in. Come out. There's a bedroom. And it's got its own light in here. It gets quite dark if you shut it off. You can tell it's a bedroom because there's a bed, some bookshelves. Don't want to let me out. There we go. Now, we said it had to have a 2nd story. And so you come up the stairs. And this one's still empty. I put in some windows and some lights, or torches for lighting. When I was building it and putting a roof on it, I actually ended up realizing I had room for like a loft area. And so I put a ladder up in like an attic, and there's actually a whole area inside of here. Now, as a student, it's kind of up to them whether or not they do that. That's something that would be optional. Was not in the requirements, and so it wouldn't have to be done. While I was also at it, I realized I ended up with a really cool area up top here that could be turned into a patio type thing. Now, none of this is actually required, but it's just something to show that in this type of a sandbox, your imagination is the only limit. One of the other things I did is Minecraft worlds are big, and so I wanted to show kind of how large it gets. And I'm going to set the time so it doesn't turn to night on us here. So I started a roller coaster. It's pretty simple at this point, but it gives you an example of just how large the world is. Shows a few other options that are available to students as they're building stuff. But as you can see, there's a lot of world out there and a lot of space that they could be building in, playing in, molding, exploring. Even just this little simple roller coaster is a really good example of a lot of problem solving. You need some borders there so you don't fall off and you make those sharp turns coming down hills, down underground. And of course you still need lighting. You come back up above ground and you need the power in order to get up, and otherwise you go too slow and your cart goes backwards, which is not the desired result. We do a drop here, fall. Oh, we're landed back on the thing. So away we go again. And coming to the end of the ride here, and we're going to drop off and fall. One of the things I really enjoyed was the ECMP 455 presentations. So big shout out and thank you to all of you. There are a couple I want to highlight as they were of great interest to me. Not all of these were presented by students, but I was introduced to the software in ECMP. The first that I want to introduce is Kahoot. It's a quick and easy and a fun way to sample knowledge a class has. It can become quite competitive, but it should be easily kept non-threatening, if need be, just by putting in pseudonyms. If you're in a classroom that doesn't have access to technology for each student in order to answer, there is a low-tech version called Plickers, where you print off a card for each student to hold up, and then you scan those with your one piece of technology, whether an iPad or a smartphone, and it feeds all the information in. So that's a good option. Plickers is here, and it does shows you here's the cards that they hold up. So then we moved on to Mathletics. Mathletics attempts to make math fun, even for those who think they dislike it at the start. It has some interesting possibilities, and with the play-based approach, I can see how it would have some great potential to grow. There's even some options for parents to buy it now, and there's an explore it for free and whatever. There's competition around the world as well, with the top 100 students being constantly shown up top. Class Dojo was the next one that I'd heard a lot of, so I was actually interested in learning something about it. I'm still kind of unsure about it. It seems more like a behavior or classroom management tool with all of its points and badges that are awarded and whatever. However, I can see how in some circumstances it would definitely be a useful tool and has good potential. Storybird. This is the one that surprised me. I am not an artistic person, so the option to use somebody else's art in order to start a story or a poem to me is a great idea. A person could also, or a teacher could also use it as an option for conversation starters with a group of students. You could throw up a picture and have each of them add one sentence, not knowing what the others had added to it, and it'd be a great way to start conversations and possibly some writing. And again, it's one that you could use with any age group, as the options that they have were quite well spread out. And the last thing I want to bring up is Hour of Code. I'd heard lots about Hour of Code, had not experienced it myself. I found it quite interesting and engaging as I went through it on my own. I actually had a few friends stop in and harass me and help out with some of my stuff. One of the things that I did notice is that some folks do run into some issues with the way the instructions are laid out, and so there is some pitfalls there. And you would want to be doing some really specific monitoring those first few lessons as students are going through and learning how the system operates. I'm going to show a real quick little video of how my Hour of Code turned out. One of the assignments was Hour of Code or Scratch. I chose a Minecraft themed Hour of Code, and after a few lessons, here's what I was able to create. This is something I will definitely use in my future class, as it was engaging and students would be able to work at varying rates of speed. When I started my survival game, I was on an island. This is initially my first home. It wasn't that great to start with, however I did build it into something that I'm fairly proud of. There's actually a mine underneath it that goes all the way down to bedrock. I had pens set up for my animals.
And then I started looking where else I could go. I could see some islands out to the end, so I started island hopping. After 3 or 4 islands, I managed to find a continent over here. When I got to the continent, I then built a pathway back to my original island. On the continent, I built a wooden house, which was a new and interesting challenge all of its own. And then I started exploring the continent. While exploring the continent, I managed to find an NPC village. However, it was a long ways away from my house. So I ended up building myself a railway that I can ride a minecart all the way there, and it's not only faster, it's a lot safer as the mobs can't attack me. Throughout this process, I explored a lot of different things, from regular building blocks to mining to redstone, electricity, and I learned a lot. I learned ways that students could use this in the classroom. I learned ways that teachers could use it to engage students in the classroom. Overall, it's been an enjoyable process. There's definitely some hiccups along the way. However, I believe at the end of the day that I did actually learn something that I will use in the future, and that will be beneficial to my teaching and to my future students.